Okay, and welcome back. This is Paul Green, and welcome to part two of our commentary there on the basics of verbal de-escalation. What I want to talk to you now about is a couple of examples that I dealt with in a corporate environment instead of being at the bar. I got one more of those before we get done, but these two involve a corporate environment. And years ago, um, back when I was still training, even before I started Stonewall Tactical, even part time, I'd worked myself um, into a job as a team lead for a private contractor for 20th Century Fox. And basically, what I did, it was the regular general labor. It was a very low paying job. You basically didn't get the cream of the crop working there in the first place. Not to put anybody down, but it is what it is. You got a lot of people, getting jobs there. They couldn't get jobs somewhere else. There was, some illegal aliens working there too. So it was that type of work. Basically, we worked in this thing, called the pig module, and that's after the movie DVDs, were kind of already pressed and everything. They would have like certain locations that they would load in this big apparatus, had like 3 floors, and people would go through a cart, with a little cart, and pick from the locations and put them in a box to fill the individual orders, and then set them on this conveyor belt, which would go to this other place where they would be sorted to go to the customers. And we'd do that stuff for like I think it was like Costco, Walmart, Kmart, Best Buy, and I think we did some Blockbuster stuff. I can't remember, it's years ago, but um, there were like 2 incidents there. I had about 40 people working under me, all different people, all different personalities. And situations like that can get really, really nasty, especially when you're not dealing, with, the top of the heap, to begin with. I mean, there's a reason, these people don't, have better jobs. You had a lot of these, the man's holding me down types. But the problem is, a lot of these people had no discipline. Um, it's kind of hard to say the man's holding you down when you haven't made an effort to get up. If you know what I'm saying. And it was a bitch. I'll never do a job like that again in my life. Hopefully, Stonewall Tactical to keep being successful, and I can stay self-employed, because that job was a bitch. But one day, um, and this is another third-party intervention with a verbal de-escalation. It's really, really quick, just to show you how fast that some of this stuff can happen. It's not always like conversational, sometimes it's really, really quick. And I had to, pull an employee out. It was this lady and causing a lot of problems, and I was talking to her on the other side of this firewall. Well, and so I wasn't in a great mood anyway, because, I mean, I have to, take time out of my job, listen to somebody else's, bullshit problems. And there's a lot of that going on, and by this time I was really, really unhappy there. And into this, stressful conversation anyway. Another lady comes running on the side that says, hey, you need to get back here. You need to get back here. And I was like, well, I'll be back here in a minute. I'm talking to this employee. No, no, you need to get back here now. I'm serious. I mean, hurry. And apparently, these 2 guys, one of them was hooking up with a female employee there. Shocker. And one of the other guys that got invited to something they were going to, and the other guy took it wrong, and they got to jawing, and they was going to get in a scrap. Well, somebody pulled up on a piece of industrial equipment and grabbed one guy, but the other guy was still going. So I run in, and put my arms up and everything, similar to what I did, but this time I'm facing the guy, and just start walking forward, forcing him to kind of walk backward, not putting my hands on him. It was just, kind of like, hey, um, that type of thing, and talking to him. talking to him. And it was this whole thing where, nah, man, I'm good, man, I'm good. Like, and, to which my reply was like, yeah, man, I know, man, but we got to go here, man. I mean, we got to go here, basically, working him to get to the office, because, there's cameras up everywhere, and an incident like that goes down, you're not going to hide it. I mean, they're going to see it. So, you best, take him straight to the office, but, you're not going to say, nah, man, you done fucked up now, you got to go to the office or whatever, you just like, yeah, man, I mean, I understand, I mean, you good, man, you good, but we got to go here for right now. But you good. And like I said, this is happening really, really, really fast. And, made it to the office without anybody getting punched. At the same time, as fast as that happened, it's still not being confrontational, not being condescending, being agreeable with the person. Plus, once again, a third party intervention, it kind of helps that I wasn't the person he had beef with anyway, and being that I was his boss, may have also helped. I had a good relationship with this person, before, but you can't go after these people, in a confrontational way. If I'd be like, man, what the hell are you doing, man? I can't even da 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 da, and started, projecting my frustrations with a thing on him while I'm trying to break it up. Now, me and him's in something, and it damages the working relationship, later down the road. Or he may have just said like, nah, man, fuck this, or up and quit. I lose an employee, and hell, this guy was one of my line leads, at the time. So once again, that's how important verbal de-escalation is. It affects a lot, and at the same time, sometimes you have a conversational thing, and you're sitting there and you're talking to somebody about their problems, but sometimes it's like this, or like the other example where it happens really, really fast. And when you study this stuff and you look at this checklist of all this stuff that you're supposed to do, sometimes you ain't got time to do all of that shit. And at the same time, we talk about, oh, you got to watch your body language. It happens like that, like boom, just like that. You ain't got time to watch any of that. That's great in that perfect scenario, but in real life, things happen quick, and it doesn't always go that way. And so that's something you want to make a note of when you're looking at verbal de-escalation. You need to respect the people that you're talking to, but and don't be condescending to them. Empathize with them. We'll go more into that later. But I wanted to do that one for just to get the point across that it's not always I'm mad with this person and we're talking and and we have this conversation and everything. It doesn't always work that way. That's it's each situation is different, and you need to recognize them. But at the same time, a lot of the same same things ring true. I give you another example where something is confrontational, where you have disgruntled workers, and here's this one guy for an example because I can't believe what happened later. I mean, it was just crazy. A real jovial guy, always smiling, always laughing, always cracking jokes. But once again, a good employee, no. And there was a lot of those. And something would happen like, we'd have to work on a holiday or sometimes we would have to cover two shifts and they wouldn't get their days off because we'd worked a swing shift. And, they'd be angry about that. Sometimes, people would, you'd have people that you could trust in certain positions and people you couldn't. The people you couldn't would get jealous of the ones that, you could trust and accuse you of favoritism. And it was just a lot of politics, a lot of bullshit goes on with it. One of the things it would do, something happens on the floor in front of the module, and people are just kind of going off. The first thing is don't deal with it there. Get them away, from the crowd to talk to them. What I would do is, we kind of had like a perimeter, like around this warehouse where there was other departments everything else. I'd be like, well, man, let's go for a walk. Talk to me about it. And we would walk around this thing, which is probably it at least half a mile. I mean, if not, maybe even a little more than that. But we would talk, and and usually by the time we made it back to the module, what we call the pick module, it would be squashed. And it wasn't anything magic about it. It just, you empathize and you listen. And that's the most important thing. And I'm not talking about hearing them, I'm talking about listening. You know, be engaged, listen to what the problems are. Um, because it's messing, your job up. They're obviously upset about it. And the thing about negative energy like that, it spreads. It spreads to other people like a cancer, through your work environment. And then the next thing you know, you have a huge problem on your hands. Um, but if you leave them there in front of the group and try to talk to it about it, you're going to have other people intervene, as that cancer, starts to spread. At the same time, they're going to be emboldened by that, and basically, you know, escalate it to gain social status. If if you understand what I'm saying, egos get involved. So get them away from there. When you get them away from there, which is a big part of it, and you take that element out of it, then like I say, try to empathize. Put yourself in their situation. Don't sympathize, because that'll get you into doing some stuff that you don't want to do. But try to empathize, and then listen. Don't blow off what they're saying. You have no idea what this person's home life is. What they're going through, what's in their head. You don't know anything about them, so you listen. You listen and you learn. Don't be smug. Don't be condescending. Don't do any of those things. You listen. And then at that point, think of it as like you're not the boss no more. We're just two human beings, and you have to understand on that level, and you'll learn something. You learn something about people. But I kept a lot of people there that probably would have left earlier. But this particular guy, it sticks out in my head, for a horrible reason. His name, we called him Leon Jolly. Is what he went by at work. I think outside of work he went by Michael. But like I said, this one of these guys always real jovial, always smiling, always laughing, and cutting up and everything. But you don't know what people are capable of. And this particular person, one day he didn't come into work. And I asked somebody, and it was like, oh, he got his income tax return, so he just dipped. He living on that, he ain't gonna hang around here. Well, we get them like that. A little, later, I'm not sure how much time it was, but I was watching news one night, about a murder that had just taken place. And, apparently Jolly had went home one day, murdered his girlfriend, and stuffed her body in a closet, and just left it there for an indeterminate amount of time. I can't remember how long they said it had been there. Can't remember if it was the smell that would disturb the neighbors, or some of her family come looking for. I can't remember exactly how they found it. But this person killed somebody, stuffed their body in a closet. That's what this person was capable of. They never, exhibited any, violent tendencies at work or anything like that. So, like I said, you don't know what these people are capable of. So you better take their grievances seriously. And don't be an asshole. Stop being the boss for a second and try being a fucking person. Try being a human being. And it'll go a long way. Those are two instances in corporate environments when I'd get these people around and I'd walk them. Like I said, I'd listen, listen, listen. Not just hear them, listen. Listen and try to understand, because you can't solve a problem that you don't understand. If you don't know the problem, you can't fix the problem. And just barking orders or being confrontational with somebody ain't going to fix a damn thing. Because, a normal person, you push me, I'm going to push you back. And I'm going to try to push you back harder than you push me. And, folks like that, that's exactly going to be their mentality. So don't do it. Another thing you try to do is do misdirection. Get them talking about something else. Like, hey, man, I say, man, it's just a job. I mean, you know, we got one more day, and then you can be sitting at the house, drinking beer, watching football, or whatever, something like that. Get them thinking about something else. Get them calmed down. But be a person. You know, there comes a time when the being the authoritarian has got to go aside. Because we're human. We're not robots. We're people. So you got to listen. And that's something that you need to take away from a corporate environment. And one thing I would also recommend, I'll never lie to them. Tell the truth, okay? And for God's sakes, never say, you know, I understand how you feel. You say I understand what you're saying. Don't say you understand how they feel, because they're looking at you as the enemy. You're part of the thing that's supposedly holding them down or whatever. If they thought that you understood how they felt, they wouldn't be pissed. Um, so they're generally not going to buy that. It comes off condescending. That's once again a couple of things that I would recommend. Um, so we're going to go ahead and it's a little bit over 15 minutes. So we're going to make a part 3 with this, and I'll be back to talk to you a little bit more about it. See you in a minute.